Wonderful. All right, so today's topic is AI and parents. And I do want to say I'm using the term parents loosely. I really mean anybody who's helping students at home, grandparents, foster parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, big brothers and sisters, anyone who's helping support students. So we're going to learn how to support them today as they navigate their students' use of AI in education. My name is Meredith Ward Hill, and I am a digital teaching and learning consultant with DPI. I work primarily in the northeastern part of the state, but I do travel around some, and I see some familiar names in the group, so I'm glad that you're here. I would love to start out just by having everybody put your name and your position and either your district or your school in the chat, just so we can kind of see who's in the room and get to know each other a tiny bit. So let me see if I can get my chat back up here. Let's see, we've got a digital teaching and learning coach with us from Winston-Salem. Got a teacher, an ITF, another digital learning coach, instructional technology coach. I sense a theme here. Director of Digital Platforms in Johnston. We're kind of all over. Brevard, Cabarrus, Winston-Salem, Johnston. Hi, Iris. Virtual learning in the house. I see somebody from PA. Does that mean Pennsylvania? Right, Samantha?
Yes, it is. I'm sorry, my camera's not working, but I am in Pennsylvania.
That's awesome. Welcome. So glad that you're here. That's fantastic. Gaston County. Yeah, this is wonderful. Oh, Beth Madigan. What's up, Beth? Glad you're here. So looks like lots of digital learning folks, whether that's instructional technology or coaching. Welcome to you. I welcome also our classroom level folks, our district level folks, our directors, and everybody in between. Thanks for being here. I hope that there will be something in this session for everyone that is useful to you that you can take back to your district or to your classroom or to your school and put into action. So I'm going to share my screen again. We'll get back to the presentation. One thing about Teams, I can't see you when I'm presenting very well. So if I'm talking and you have a question, please don't hesitate to unmute and just ask. There are going to be parts of this presentation where I will want us to talk. So please do contribute. So we're not all just sitting in silence. I would love to hear your thoughts. So let's go back to sharing my screen here. And we're back over to the presentation. And here we go. A couple business items before we get started. First of all, there's a third-party tools disclaimer, and I just want you to know that any tools that I mentioned today are not endorsed by DPI. They're just there as a reference to you. If you choose to use some of those tools, be sure that you follow your district level policies and procedures regarding digital tools. Every district kind of has their own way of doing things. So make sure you follow the policies in your local district. And then also, I want to let you know that I use AI a lot. ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity are the three primary tools that I use. And I did use all three of them to help me create this presentation. So I feel like it's a really good idea to model transparency. So I want to be transparent and let you know that I use large language models as thought partners and to help me create content. So there we go. Our agenda today, we're going to look a little bit about the prevalence of AI in education, and then we're going to focus on parents. We're going to talk about parent perceptions. We're going to talk about some strategies for communicating with parents. we'll talk about some topics that might be useful as you're thinking about providing educational sessions or information to parents. Then I'm going to share some resources with you, and we'll have time to reflect and think about next steps. So that's what we're up to today. So when we talk about AI tools in education, it is early 2025. And when you think about how far we've come in the last 2 years, it's kind of mind-boggling. So ChatGPT was released to the public in November of 2022. So we're about 2 years and 2 months in, and AI is now everywhere, it seems like. It's being embedded in all kinds of tools that we have used before, and there's all kinds of new tools available as well. This is a graphic from Matt Miller's Ditch That Textbook website. If you're not familiar with it, it's a great resource for all things instructional technology. There's a link to this graphic and some more information about it below the graphic there, ditchthattextbook.com/AI tools. And we can see from looking at these tools that AI is embedded in all kinds of things. And I've got a list there on the right, things from personalized learning and tutoring to assessment to design to classroom management to writing and research, all kinds of things. And I'd love for you to just put in the chat, if you would, some of your favorite tools, either that you use yourself in your work or that you have used with students. So if you could just take a second to put that in the chat, that would be awesome. And y'all, this back and forth with Teams is a little awkward. I apologize. Like, I don't even know where y'all have gone. There you are.
Hey Meredith, I'm a quadriplegic, it takes me super
Could you
long.
be a little bit louder, sweetie? I can't hear you.
Oh, my apologies. I'm sorry. I'm a quadriplegic, so it takes me a long time to type. So
Oh,
if you don't
yeah.
mind, I would just more so just give feedback just by speaking if that's good.
Oh, that's perfect. Yes, thank you.
Currently I've been using ChatGPT, OpenAI as well as Claude as well, Anthropic and Perplexity as well. And a little bit of DeepSeek. I've been using DeepSeek just because it's just more so a free platform.
Yes, I'm
Can
glad
run
you
it locally.
mentioned. Yeah, DeepSeek has been in the news a lot lately as a really great alternative for a free platform. And I need to get on the DeepSeek train because I have not tried it yet. But those other three I do use as well. Thank you for sharing. All right, let's see what we got in here. Goblin Tools. That one is a lot of fun. If you haven't seen that one before, it's great for helping write either snarky or not snarky emails, whatever you choose. Brisk, Notebook LM, which is fantastic for analyzing a variety of texts and then creating a podcast about those. Magic School, CuriPod, quizzes, Snorkel, ChatGPT, of course, Copilot, School AI, Conmigo, Grammarly, Padlet, so many. And I think that what we've got in the chat here, just from maybe 5 or 10 people answering, we can see the wide variety of tools that are in use and how prevalent they are. So I will say that I use AI at least once a day. Vera is saying privacy concerns. Thank you, Vera, for sharing that. I was not aware of that. It is based in China and it's monitoring keystrokes as well as giving access to data, and she does not recommend it for children. Thank you for sharing that, Vera. Did you want to add something?
I just want to say that if you look at their privacy policy, it is kind of alarming. I've been playing with it too, but I would just be careful, make sure you read that policy because it gives them a lot more liberties than the American tools do. And it's also got a lot of bias. It will directly represent the opinions of the Chinese government. So,
That is very important to know.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
You're
that's
welcome.
good tips
Very
for
powerful, though.
any.
Very good model.
That's great. Thank you. And that, like Vera just shared, that's good tips for any tool that we decide to use. It's important that we look at the terms of use, that we look at the privacy policy, and that we think about what data we're putting in there and not putting in any PII. Thank you so much. Dave is saying he put the privacy policy in Notebook LM today and decided not to use it. So Dave, you must have found some similar things to what Vera was just mentioning. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so I'm going to click back over to this presentation here. So I think we're all aware, and it seems like most of us are in ed tech, that AI is really prevalent. And it's important that as we embed AI usage in our instruction and not just in the work that we do, like lesson planning and things like that, that we're really transparent about our AI usage with parents. I may not click present if that's okay with y'all, just because it's easier to go back and forth if I'm not in presentation mode. I may leave it like this. I do want to mention some benefits of AI in education. And just like anything else, no tool is perfect. Every tool has pros and cons. These are some of the things that provide some benefit, some efficiency, some creativity, some speed of use when we use them in education. And I'd like us to just think about for a minute which of these speak to you. So it seems like from our chat that most of us are pretty regular users of AI. And I'd like to hear from you, why do you use AI and what benefit do you find in your usage of it? So you can either unmute or put it in the chat, either one.
I'm finding when I'm working with my teachers, I'm really listening to what they need for empowerment and enhancement for their students, for more collaboration, more communication. And then we put in our standards, we ground everything with what we need to use, and then we build from there. So I find that showing them it's a thought partner, as well as giving them that opportunity to watch that happen, and then we can fine tune what they need.
I love that thought about standards alignment, Samantha. Sometimes, especially for our beginning teachers or our lateral entry teachers or international teachers who maybe have not worked with the standards for years and years, to know that some of these models have been trained on the standards and can help us align our lessons and begin there, and ensure that we're utilizing higher order thinking skills, and really making our lessons rigorous and relevant, and that we can even upload a lesson plan and then ask it, how can we make this more rigorous? How can we embed the 5 C's that you were referring to? How can we make sure that we are aligned to standards and pacing guides? That's all work that we're able to do ourselves, but utilizing large language models as thought partners can help make that task a little bit more efficient. Thank you for sharing that. Let's see what we've got in the chat here. A thought partner and a writing editor, absolutely. A teaching partner and an assistant rather than just a content creator, absolutely. We can give consistent feedback according to, yes, Hattie, yes, absolutely. Smarter, not harder, leveraging tools to create resources, analyze data, have a companion for questions. Yes, amazing tool for accommodations. So it's excellent if you're trying to differentiate. And we know that, we have so many students at all different levels with all different types of experience with all kinds of backgrounds in our classroom. So helping differentiate the content for them is really important. Brainstorming and organizing thoughts, using Notebook LM to summarize large documents. Absolutely. So if you can upload a document into Notebook LM or into Perplexity or Claude and ask questions about the document, it will help you find what you're looking for. It will help you summarize that content. So that's all excellent. And these things that we're doing are all learning strategies, right? Nobody is saying, I'm using AI to do my work for me so that I can be on the golf course. Now, it might free up some time for us to have more time on the golf course at some point, or to watch football or whatever our jam is. But we're all learning with AI. So I think that's one key takeaway when we're communicating with our parents, is that not only does it help us with these tasks, it can help students organize information. It can help students digest large amounts of information. It can help students have the opportunity to ask questions in a personalized way and get that personalized response. So these are all learning activities that we can apply to ourselves as well as to children. So let's click back over here to the benefits of AI in education. And I want to move to the next thought is that not only is AI embedded in many, many of the things that we use, and not only are there many benefits to AI in education, there's also power in partnering with parents as we are using AI with our students, and we're helping students understand how to use it ethically and as a learning partner. So here are just some reasons why parent involvement is important when we're navigating AI. And a lot of these are the same no matter what we're talking about. Bridging the home and school gap is important no matter what the topic is. Enhancing student success is important no matter what the topic is. But then we have some other ones on here that are specific to AI, helping to promote digital literacy, helping to ensure that students are using AI ethically, promoting equitable access to AI tools. So if our parents are on board and understand the benefits of using AI and how to use it responsibly, then maybe they will allow students or come alongside their students at home to have access to those tools instead of some having access at home and some not having access at home, depending on parent perception and other things. And then also proactively addressing concerns. We know that a lot of parents have concerns around AI, around data privacy, around students' ability to continue to learn and grow, and not use AI as a crutch, which of course is our teachers' concerns as well. So we want to partner with parents and ensure that they have that understanding of how we're using AI at school and how they can utilize it at home with their kids. So I've done some kind of digging around into some parent resources, or I'm sorry, parent surveys about their attitudes about AI in education. And we're just going to do a little true false. I know you've already seen some of the answers because I wasn't presenting, but that's okay. I can't see the chat right now, so I'm going to ask you to unmute and let me know if each of these you think is true or false. So I'm going to share a statistic. You're just going to tell me if you think it's true or false. Don't be scared. We're all friends here, so you're just going to unmute and say true or false. So here we go. All right, the first one is 48% of parents say that schools should teach students how to use AI. What do you think? True or false?
False.
False.
False. Okay, if we think it's false, do we think that that percentage is too high or too low?
Too high.
Too high, okay. So honestly, I thought it was too low. And it's interesting because in some of these statistics, they seem to contradict each other. And actually, this is a true statement. 48% of parents say schools should teach students how to use AI. Now, I do want to put a little disclaimer out there. Different percentages are reported by different surveys, obviously, and a lot of it depends on, of course, survey size, and then it also depends on which parents you're surveying and which ones are willing to be part of the survey. So just take these statistics with a little grain of salt, but according to one of the surveys I read, this answer is true. 48% say that we should teach students how to use AI, but we're going to get to a percentage in just a little bit that seems to contradict that. So hold this one in your mind for a minute. All right, next one. 16 to 20% of parents believe that their own children use AI for education. They think their kids are using AI. What do you think? True or false? You got to tell me because I can't see you.
I'll say true.
False.
Okay, we got a
False.
true, we got a false, we got another false.
I think
Okay.
it's false.
Okay, so those of you who think it's false, do you think it's too high or too low?
Too low.
Too low. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. This is a true statement. 16 to 20% think that their kids are using AI, but here are the real numbers of how many kids are actually using AI for their schoolwork. So we've got three different reports here. One says, the first one up there from AIPRM says that 54% are using it for schoolwork. From New Scientist, we've got a survey that says 70% are using it for schoolwork. And then Statista says 86% of students in a global survey are using AI for schoolwork. So we've got a disconnect here between the percentage of parents who believe their kids are using it and how much students actually are using it. Quite a disconnect. And so as we think about how to communicate with parents and support parents, one part that I think is really important that this survey and this statistic brings to light is that we need to make sure we're supporting parents in talking to their kids about AI use and that they are aware of what their kids are doing online. And we know that that's something that, we've been encouraging parents to be aware of for a long time. So I think this just refocuses our thoughts that it's important that we support parents and encourage them in having those conversations with their students to determine what exactly they are doing on the internet. All right, next one. 21% of parents believe that developing AI-related skills is very important. 21%. What do you think? True or false?
True.
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 So true. Okay. It's true. And actually, it's triple that amount. So it's 21% plus another 46% more. So 67% total think that developing AI skills is very important. So you can see again, we've got this disconnect here where we think we've only got 48% think that we should be teaching AI at school, but we've got 67% believing that developing those skills is very important. So I'm not sure I don't know, but my assumption would be that they think perhaps they should be teaching how to use AI at home. But again, we've got folks who don't think their kids are using it. So we kind of have a smattering of statistics that are all over the place that seem like perhaps there's some contradictory thinking around AI and education. All right, how about this one? 33% of parents have discussed appropriate AI use with their children. True or false? False.
False.
Yes, it's false. Only 14% of parents have discussed appropriate AI use with their kids. And so we can see here that the statistic supports what we've been saying a little bit earlier, that parents are not aware of what their kids are doing with AI, and they haven't discussed appropriate AI with their kids. And so that's a little discouraging, but I have one more to share with you. 85% are interested in learning more about AI to support their kids' education. What do you think?
True.
Yes, this
True.
one is true. Yeah, so we're ending these statistics on a hopeful note here. We see that there's lots of room to grow around conversations with parents and AI, and between parents and their children around AI, but they are saying that they're interested in learning more. I do have a link here for you if you're interested in looking at those parent surveys. This link right here will take you to them. All right, so we've got some hopeful things happening and we've got lots of room.
At this time, we have different people that are dismissing. Please listen. If you are on the 7th grade boys basketball
Hold on.
team, if you are a cheerleader that is
If you're
currently
not
dancing,
muted, it would
or
be
if
good
you are
to
a
mute.
car rider, you are dismissed at this time. Have a great afternoon.
Very good. Okay. All right. Love those afternoon announcements. So lots of room to grow. And lots of interest around AI. So that's really, really good. I've got here some communication considerations. As we are thinking about how to communicate with parents, here are some key things to remember. Parents can be AI literacy advocates. So it's important to empower our parents, again, to have those conversations and to empower them to learn more about AI and its use in education. So I think and this is just my experience, and it might be the same or different from your experience, but when generative AI first came about and was released, it seemed like there was a lot of fear around how it was going to change education. And then there was a lot of fear about how do I teach in this new environment with this new tool. And so in the beginning, it seemed like there were some thoughts that perhaps we should block it until we know more. And I think that that can be a a smart strategy in the very beginning until we have a little bit better handle on things and a better understanding ourselves. But we are at the point now where we do know more. And I feel like as educators, we've had opportunities to learn more, to try it, to practice with it, to use it in our lesson planning and other things. But perhaps parents haven't had similar opportunities. So it might be beneficial for us to provide some of those opportunities to them, to have listening sessions with them or training sessions to help them not be afraid of AI and to empower them to have strategies to use with their students. So we want to encourage parents to actively engage in learning more about AI. And then, if possible, it would be great to provide some virtual sessions or some face-to-face sessions with resources that are tailored specifically for parents. Oh, and we've got somebody coming in with us. We'll let her in. Also, going hand in hand with that is bridging the knowledge gap. So, like I said a minute ago, a lot of parents may not have had the opportunity and they don't talk to their kids about it because they're not sure what to say. They don't understand how it works or they don't understand how it's used, and it's just easier to avoid the topic. I think parents often, like teachers, we want to have the answers for our students and for our children. And if we don't have the answers, it may be easier to avoid the topic altogether. So if we can kind of provide some support in giving them the opportunity to learn more about AI and to understand it, then they can be more prepared to talk to their kids about utilizing AI in an ethical way. Then we have community building here. Community building, of course, is just good practice no matter what we're talking about, but making sure that we're having platforms or procedures or guidelines or policies that allow parents to communicate with teachers.
At this time, please listen carefully. If you are staying for the game this evening, you need to make sure you come to the cafe.
Okay, there we go. So that parents feel like they have plenty of opportunities to communicate with teachers and with the school about how AI is being used, and to make sure that we're building trust and transparency about AI usage. So you might have a variety of things. You might have Class Dojo, you might have another online platform, you might have at parent-teacher conferences, you might provide some maybe some talking points to teachers about how to discuss AI with parents. You might have informational flyers that you post on your website or on your social media. You might have listening sessions. There's all kinds of things for building community and building that partnership between parents and the schools, whether it's AI or another topic. And then addressing concerns is really important. I did not include the statistics on here about parent concerns around AI, but two of the main ones that I mentioned before are being concerned about data privacy and also being concerned that their children are not going to learn what they need to learn to be successful and that they will be using AI in a way that doesn't contribute to their learning, but instead is a crutch, like I mentioned before. So we want to make sure that we're addressing those concerns. And then this last one under addressing concerns, sometimes they don't know what to ask. So even providing them with questions that they might want to ask can help bridge that gap and help open the dialogue. So those are some things to consider when communicating with parents. I'd like to open this up to a little bit of discussion. I've got 3 communication strategies listed here when you're talking to parents about AI. One is empathy and engagement. And I've got a couple questions here. How do you know, or how can you gauge what level of experience parents have with AI and what their attitudes and concerns are? And then once you know their experience and their attitudes and concerns, how can you meet them where they are and show respect for those concerns? So I'd like to just open the floor for a second and ask those questions to you, and ask if there's anybody who has started communicating with parents and what your experience has been. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a second and we're going to talk about that. And I would love to hear your voice, or you can put something in the chat, either one. But how do you know what your parents think and feel about AI? And then how can you meet them where they are? And do you have any experiences to share? Yes, Yinawi, did I say your name correctly?
Yes, you did.
Awesome.
I was lucky enough to be invited to help with our SEL department here. They had a kind of SEL and digital citizenship sort of thing at a local library. And so me and one of my other fellow DTL coaches, she focused more on like digital citizenship and overall media safety. And mine was just kind of just going to focus on introducing AI. And so we didn't have like the largest turnout. It was the day right after the election too, and so there was a lot of stuff going on and weather here too. But the few parents that did show up, it was just really just straight asking them like, what have they heard? Just like what are the overall things that they have heard about it? Do they think they've experienced it in their daily lives, to try to like invite that conversation of like using Alexa, or what they know about algorithms on social media sites. And so it just kind of started just with that sort of conversation before like introducing or sharing any information. So it was, like I said, we didn't have like a large turnout, but it was neat to hear like some of the parents definitely very curious and wanting to know more.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. A couple things I want to elevate out of what you just said. First, I really like the idea that you started with a conversation before you began sharing information. So really thinking about tailoring, and of course you've got your content planned, but we all know we can use those teachable moments, right, to shift how we're going to present information. So starting with a conversation and just allowing them to ask questions and express their concerns or express the things that they're excited about, the opportunities that they see. I really like that. Sometimes it can be scary to open the floor to questions because you don't know what they're going to ask or what they're going to say. But I think that's a great way to get parents' voices in the room, and then to just really be able to respond with empathy and to respond directly to what they're thinking or what they're feeling or what their needs are. So that's really awesome. I also want to elevate that you said you got them thinking about how they're already using AI in their daily lives. And a lot of them are probably not even realizing that they're using AI every day, right? So we're using it, like you said, when we're watching Netflix, or when we're on social media, or when we're navigating with our GPS, or, it's embedded in our daily life and we don't even think about it. So reducing some of that fear by helping them know you're already using it and it's going to be okay. I really like that. Thank you for sharing. Somebody else have an experience to share about how you know where parents are and how you can meet them where they are. Or we've got a couple more things on this presentation that we can talk about too. One is transparency and practices. So as you're communicating with parents, not only do we want to communicate with empathy and we want to meet them where we are, we also want to be really transparent in how we're using AI at school. So let's think about for a minute what information we might want to share with parents and what are some ways to share that information. Has anybody already started sharing information with parents? And if so, what did you share and how did you share it?
We had a digital literature, sorry.
You're good, Kara.
An echo. I don't know if you guys hear it.
I don't hear it. You sound great on this end.
We had a week-long digital leadership. I can't talk. Digital citizenship. Until it's the end of the day.
Yes.
Where we created a infographic and used a lot of resources from Common Sense Education.
Yeah.
Give parents just resources like, how do I start that conversation? It was a little form where they could fill out rules and have a discussion about how we use technology and AI and other things, and that was part of it.
I love that. I love that you mentioned an infographic, that helps break down information that can seem complex or overwhelming, and it puts it into bite-sized chunks. That makes a lot of sense. I also like that you talked about providing resources to help them get started with conversations, right? So we can see from our statistics that parents maybe they're not having conversations with their kids, maybe because they don't know what to say. So providing maybe just some conversation starters, and I've got some to give to you in just a little bit, might be really helpful. And also, I like that you were pulling in digital citizenship. We want to make sure parents know how to support their students to use AI ethically, just like we want them to use any online tool ethically and responsibly. And so providing some tips and tricks for, what does ethical use of AI look like? And what should you be looking for as you're helping your student with their homework or with a project, something like that. So those are all excellent. Thank you for sharing that, Kara.
We were also in a unique situation because we're a K-12 school
Oh,
and nature based, so we don't have a huge technology integration. So it was kind of delicate to navigate, so to speak, because a lot of our parents are very anti-technology, but we know the kids are on it regardless if they have it at school or they have it with their friends or in their other houses. So
that's a really great point too. Fortunately or unfortunately, even if a parent is anti-technology, the reality is that our students are graduating into a world where, upwards of 75% of companies will be adopting generative AI platforms within the next 2 years. So we want our students to be successful in their job market, and we want them to be successful at school. So technology is embedded at school. It's going to be embedded in the job market that they're graduating into. So it's important that we provide those skills and strategies and help them be adept and ethical, responsible users of all kinds of tools. So thanks for sharing that, Kara. Anybody else have an experience to share that you've already started with engaging parents with this topic?
We have a local nonprofit organization that offers STEM education to underserved communities, underrepresented communities in rural North Carolina. And one of the biggest things that I've been trying to push in our communities is that basically, like you said, the kids are working with it and everything, but I try to tell a lot of the parents that have their child attend our weekly kids robotics lab. So we have them work with Cursor, we have them do small app projects with Replit, and to more so just try to drive the engagement and the interest into coding and AI and everything. And more so, it's like, you got some parents that they see their child have interest in this, but they don't know what their child's doing. And like during COVID happened, when COVID hit, the rural areas of North Carolina, such as Oxford, where we live at, we was affected, and we had a lot of we had a lot of the teachers that were having to learn how to adapt using remote learning tools. And it just basically, like, you have some of the parents that are a lot older and grandparents that are looking after the kids, and these teachers really didn't know how to instruct these students from that standpoint. And it's kind of like the same thing when it comes to like the AI and explain it to the parents. But what I try to do is I try to get the parents on board to let them monitor what their child is actually doing. The way I go about it is I just provide them with individual projects and then a family project that they'll take home, and then in order to drive the engagement with the parent and let the kid try to explain it. Sometimes that can be sometimes that can go left, but yes, ma'am, that's just what we had started experimenting with.
So you said so many good things in there that we could unpack. I love the idea of kids explaining to their caregivers what it is that they're doing. That is a fantastic learning strategy, right? Teach somebody else. So I love that. I really also like what you had to say about grandparents. We do have lots of older folks raising younger people, and they may not have any kind of comfortability around technology. I know Caldwell County, for example, is doing grandparent training sessions. They're having grandparents come in the evenings and they're showing them how to log on to a Chromebook, even basic things, how to send an email. Let me show you what platforms we're using at school so that you'll see, when your student is on Canvas or whatever they're on, this is how you navigate. So that's awesome. I also really like you talking about helping students find their interest and their spark, whether it's coding or robotics or something else. And if the parent can see that the child is excited about learning, that can be motivating to the parent as well to learn more about whatever it is that the child is learning. So thank you for sharing all of those things. That's wonderful. We're going to come back to the presentation. And we've already kind of talked a little bit about this first one. So we've talked about we want to make sure we're empathetic and we meet parents where they are. We've talked about we want to be transparent about sharing what we're doing at school. And then we want to make sure that we are not only sharing information, but we're listening. So we want to have collaborative discussions that go both ways. And that might be listening sessions. It could be, all the strategies we've already talked about. But we want that communication to be ongoing. We know that things change very quickly in technology and things are changing, especially quickly with AI. So we want to make sure that we're continually having that conversation, updating the information that's being shared. And then we know that just like our parents have different levels of comfort and experience and knowledge around AI, also our staff has different levels of comfort and knowledge and experience with AI. And so if you are at the school administrator level or the district level, it might be important to think about what kinds of guidance or talking points or material you could provide to teachers so that they're prepared to have these conversations with parents and that they have different strategies in mind to suggest to parents as they're trying to navigate their child's AI usage at school. So those are some things to be aware of as we're communicating. I want to move into the next section now, which is thinking we know that it's important to communicate with parents and to listen to them and to meet them where we are. It's also important to provide some education to parents. We know that providing parent education can help with that equitable access that you were talking about a minute ago. You mentioned, students in rural parts of the state, also in our urban parts of the state as well. We know that all, students all come from different backgrounds. They have different situations at home. Some of them have internet access, some do not. Some of them have a computer at home, some do not. Some parents already know a lot about AI and some don't. And so if we can help parents know more about AI, that equips them to support their students to be successful. So what I have for you here is a document to help you think about as you start to plan for parent education around AI, what are some things that you might want to include? So if you've got the presentation open on your computer, which I hope you do, I would love for you to click right here where it says click and discuss. If you don't, that's okay. I'm going to drop this link in the chat. Give me 1 second to paste it over there. And y'all, I didn't even realize I'm not sharing my screen anymore. So y'all can holler out if you need to and just say, hey, Meredith, share your screen. So here's how I got to this. We were on the slide that was communication strategies, and then the next slide says parent education, and I just clicked where it says click and discuss. And so what we have here is a document that is intended to not be a comprehensive document, but to get your ideas started about some things that you might want to help parents know and understand. And there's 3 sections in this document. So if you're in the document on the left-hand side, you can click the outline and you can see different sections of the document. I'm going to close that for a minute and I'm just going to talk through what's in here. So what we have first are topics for AI parent education. They need to know some AI basics, what it is, how we use it in education, why it matters, what the benefits are, what the limitations are. This part about the limitations, that's really important because we know that parents do have concerns and we want to address those concerns, and we want them to know that we're talking to students about these things, that we're talking to students about bias, that we're talking to them about privacy, that we're talking to them about hallucinations, that we're talking to them about the importance of human oversight and human partnership. And then we want to really drive home, again, that importance of data privacy. We want to make sure that parents know that they should not and students should not put any personally identifiable information into these large language models that they might be working with. We also want to show them, like Vera was mentioning earlier and Dave was mentioning, we want to show them how to find the privacy policies and the terms of use so that they can be informed users of these tools and make those decisions about which tools they want to use and which ones they don't. So as we're thinking about what we want to teach parents, AI basics is a good one to start with. And then we want to talk about critical thinking and responsible use. So we know that parents are afraid, and, especially a year ago or 2 years ago, heard a lot in the news about cheating around AI, and that still is a concern. And so we want to help parents know and understand that there are lots of ways to use these tools to enhance critical thinking. And so one of those ways, of course, is that we teach students to verify the information or the output that the tool gives us, that we fact check and we cross-reference, that we talk about hallucinations or errors, and that we don't just take the output at face value. We also want to talk about that human AI partnership, that we don't just let AI do the work for us, that we use it together, and that we use it to not just do the whole thing, but that we also add our own voice or that we add our own experience. And we, talk about how we've encouraged teachers to make sure that their assignments use the ability for students to add their personal input, that we move away from fact gathering type assignments more to process related assignments and critical thinking assignments, analysis and evaluation assignments that are not simple just for the AI to answer the questions for us. Excuse me. And we want to teach how to model ethics and responsible use. So we want to make sure that parents know that it's important to provide an AI disclosure statement. If you've used AI in an assignment, you need to have a sentence or two talking about how you used it. And you can cite it with MLA or APA citation, and you can provide a link to the chat that you had as well to really model that transparency of use. Another thing you might want to talk to parents about is setting boundaries for AI use at home. And this is just good practice, again, for anything online related. You want to have boundaries for your students and your children. We don't want them just out there on the World Wide Web with free reign and no oversight. So this is a good reminder for parents, not just with AI use, but also social media and all kinds of other things, that they have boundaries and oversight for that usage. So talking about that as a family is important. Setting rules for how you're going to use it with school, how you're going to use it for your personal use. Also having some time limits. We don't want students on devices all day, every day, or all evening. And then having some times that are free of technology, times to read a book, go outside and play with toys, go hang out with friends, all of those good, healthy habits that do not involve technology and that promote physical activity and creativity, all of those things. Something else to think about when we're thinking about educating parents is really promoting that collaboration, and that refers back to the communication piece that we've already talked about, that we have regular meetings where parents are allowed to come and talk and learn, perhaps work sessions or educational sessions, again, parent-teacher conferences. We have, lots of schools have Title I parent nights or other family engagement nights. It's good to have goal setting sessions. You can work with teachers to talk about what the expectation is for AI use at home and school to make sure both of those things are aligned. It's a good idea to share resources with parents. If you're utilizing Magic School, a great idea might be just to have a real short virtual meeting. Here's what Magic School is. Here's how we use it. Here's how we're asking your students to use it. And just sharing those resources about specific tools that might be in use in the classroom. And again, just maintaining those open channels for questions and encouraging parent involvement. So those are the topics that we have listed under topics for AI parent education. Again, this is not a comprehensive list. This is just some ideas to get your thoughts flowing. The next section in this document is a parent resource list. Again, not a comprehensive list, but might be a great place to start. I know a couple of you had mentioned Common Sense Media. Common Sense Media has lots of great tools for parents around movies and video games and books, and they also have AI supports. They have videos and tips for utilizing AI with students. The U.S. Department of Ed, Office of Ed Tech has got some guidelines available. Day of AI, Internet Matters, AI for Education, and Ditch That Textbook all have AI parent resources. So those are some that might get you started in sharing. And then I mentioned before, sometimes parents just don't know what to say. So here's just a few short conversation starters that you could potentially share with parents. And I know Kara mentioned she's at a K-12 school, so you might need to differentiate some of these conversation starters and tips based on the age of the student that you work with. So here we've got tips for parents, how to set boundaries, how to talk to your child, promoting digital literacy, talking about ethics. And then there's just a few questions here that might help them get the conversation started. What are you using in class? What's something interesting AI has helped you learn? How do you think people in different jobs might use AI? What are some challenges that AI can't solve? And how can AI and humans work together? So that's just a super short, brief getting started with conversation. So again, you know, add to this, copy it, tweak it, whatever you would like to do. And then down here, these are all the resources that I used in conjunction with AI. See, I've used Perplexity here. Here's my citation to create this document. So I just want to pause for a second and get your feedback. What are your thoughts around AI parent education? How do you feel about it? And do you feel like any of these resources will be helpful to you? Just some basic thoughts.
I haven't seen a ton of materials created just for parents with this in mind. So this is really exciting to me, Meredith. Thank you for
Good.
creating it and sharing it.
Sure, absolutely. And I'll be honest, I was hoping to find more. My thought is that there will be more. You know, there's so much to wrap our brains around in regards to AI, you know, when we think about using it in the classroom or using it in our own work. And so I do think lots of companies are starting to think about and prepare materials for parents as well. So yeah, those are some good places to start, and my hope is that we'll find more and see more soon. Anybody else?
I appreciate the way it's set up because then we can have those conversations first, just like they were talking about earlier, and then we can do it in bite size. So it's not going to all be in one meeting. We're going to do this over time, and we're going to honor what they need each time we meet with them, but then we're going to give them more information and just build their capacity, but slow it down, like you said, meet them where they are. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Sure thing, Samantha. And Jeannie says she's working on a survey for parents. That's great. All right. I know we only have a few
I
minutes.
just wanted,
Yes, Vera.
sorry, Meredith, I just wanted
Yep.
to say I really appreciate it as well. And I'm glad that people are thinking about bringing parents in the conversation. It's really important. So thank you for the resources and for the webinar today.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to show you a couple more things and then we're going to wrap up. I'm going to be real quick. I do want to show you some resources. Some of these are linked in that document. So again, we've got from AI for Education, Ditch That Textbook, Day of AI. These are just some good ones that I've highlighted. But also my colleague Stacy Lovedahl has created a Wakelet and all about AI and education. And in her Wakelet, she's got a section that's just on parents and community. So I just pulled out, just hit some highlights in the presentation and in the document. But if you want to look at more, there are several resources here for you to look at. So that's one thing I wanted to highlight. And then also I wanted to highlight some DPI resources. And I just want to really say a really big thank you to Vera. Vera has done such amazing, incredible, cutting edge work around AI and education. And she is not just recognized in the state, but she's recognized nationally as a leader of AI in education. And the resources that I'm sharing here they have come about because of her work with teachers and with thought leaders and with district leaders across the state. So Vera, thank you so much. What I have shared here are all the presentations from the AI summits that Digital Teaching and Learning has hosted. We had an AI collaborative last year and they created all kinds of content. Those are linked there. And then we have our AI guidelines that are linked. And then down here in the corner, all things related to DPI AI, including being able to register for more webinars like this one, and then to be able to see all the recordings from the past webinars. We are at the end of our time together. I was going to have you kind of reflect in the Padlet. You can do that if you want to, or not if you don't want to. That's totally fine. But just some key takeaways. We want to make sure that we're understanding parent perspectives, we're communicating with them, and we're providing resources and education to equip them to help their students be successful. And then just some next steps. Think about who can help you communicate with parents. Make sure you're aware of your district policies. Think about a communication strategy. Identify what materials you might need, and then just meet with them and listen.
Meredith, I'm